Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
Unshackled Fury had its day in the sun as we made news for the first time while the march towards the midnight horizon continues on. So welcome back for episode 172 of your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berserker, and with me once again is the man who truly brought sexy back, Mr. Jez Corden. Welcome back again, good sir.
Hey, dude. How you been?
We've had a wild couple weeks, you and I, and this show in particular. True. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind. Not gonna lie, it's been a little different than the usual content creator life that I think we've been used to outside of these things. And I want to throw out a plug that I did on the heels of our interview with Ian Hazzikostas, which took the world by storm. I did appear on the Realm Maintenance podcast with our friend Ease and talked about a little bit about the interview and kind of, my journey as a human or whoever I am. But always a good time. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go over there. But outside of that, Jez, I have to thank you. For many reasons, but for this particular moment, I had originally not intended to play Legion Remix, and I was going to pass it up entirely. I was just not interested. And then, Jez, you brought things to my attention that were of interest to me, and I am proud to say I now am in possession of the corrupted Charlemagne, and I am very happy with the transmog that I am now sporting. So thank you for putting me in the right direction on that. I don't know if you've been playing a lot of Remix yourself, but I have been enjoying it, and I did get my ultimate prize. So thank you.
That's all good. It's all about collecting transmogs, isn't it, really? I mean, some people enjoy the, I'm super powerful, I'm smashing everything kind of gameplay. But, like, I prefer, like, I don't know, normal WoW, I think, Yeah. And I'm just like, it's kind of like I got so much FOMO about, like, I really need, this is like the only time I'm going to be able to get this stuff probably.
Yeah.
Especially the mounts, because I hate farming mounts.
Yeah.
So, like, I've come to resent Legion Remix a bit. Because I feel like, because I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy playing it. But I really enjoy the rewards. So, like, the mounts, the transmogs, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I'm kind of forced into it. I feel like it's held me hostage a little bit.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to it being over, to be honest. But I don't begrudge people who enjoy it though, because it is a very different experience. I think I just want retail, man. I'd rather have a new raid tier or something.
It is different. For sure, and it's that casino feel where you're doing something, and maybe the activity of it is maybe a little mundane, perhaps, but it's all the rewards and the bronze and the chests and the gear, and even if the gear doesn't, give you anything extra or is of a higher level, it's just incoming rewards endlessly. I think is the trap, and then to your point. The mounts that are incredibly easy to get because bronze drops on everything. It piles up very quickly, and so I don't know. I've probably bought 15 mounts, and I mean, I took some time getting the bronze for it, but it felt like it went pretty fast. So
yeah, it does seem to go quick. Like, even as someone who's finding it a bit of a chore, it's like it's not so much of a chore that you can't easily get what you want, pretty much.
Yeah.
So like I really wanted the Infernal mount. It's one of the only mounts I've tried to farm, you know, the normal way. And because you know it's sort of quintessential Warlock mount, right?
Very much.
But Legion Remix just lets you sort of waltz in and buy it for you know pretty much minimal effort. So I was like, oh, okay, fair enough.
I felt that way about the updated Midnight mount that I've tried to get out of Karazhan forever, and I was just like, yeah, just walk up. Here you go. Here's 100,000 or whatever it was. Thanks.
Yeah. Same thing. I got that too for my Blood Death Knight if I ever play him.
Yeah.
But yeah. It feels like a lot of my guild's taking a break now, just from the game in general. We've done everything in retail.
Yeah.
We've pretty much done everything in Legion Remix. Just waiting for Antaurus to open up now. And also the furniture, the shop, the furniture. The only thing I really want now is the furniture, the Legion furniture that's coming out.
Yep.
The vendor's not live yet, but he will be live when Antaurus launches, I think.
It's coming right around the horizon here. It's coming at a pretty good clip. So yeah, getting through some remix as well. So that's been a good time, and we've definitely got a lot to talk about today. But before we get to that, Jez, I got to hit you with the metal album of the week, and this one's going back a ways. And if you have been in the Unshackled Fury Discord, you may have already seen me mention this when somebody asked for one. And I was like, you know what? That's a pretty good one. I should make that just the regular one. So from June 11th, 1991, I bring to you Slave to the Grind by the band and one of the greatest frontman of all time in this band, Skid Row, fronted by Sebastian Bach. And some people might hear this and go, oh, Skid Row, they're kind of like a hair metal thing. Yes, they are, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let me give you some of the bona fides on this album. This was, Jez, the first heavy metal album ever to chart at number 1 on the Billboard 200. First one ever, number 1. When they finished recording this, they toured with Guns N' Roses. And after that tour, they went out and led one and had Pantera and Soundgarden as their supporting bands. So I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear people slandering the great Skid Row. The title track on this one, very energetic. It's a solid track anytime you want to listen to it. But really, the opener, Monkey Business, it will wake your ass up. So if you're looking to kind of get out of bed and you're like, man, I'm dragging ass, I need something to blast my eardrums, lock and load, Slave to the Grind. It's a dynamite one. It's old for some of you. 1991 probably seems like the dark ages, you know, middle ages. 1991, it's all kind of compressed together. But for those of us that were alive, remember those times. They were good. So Jez, are you familiar with Skid Row at all? You know this? Is there any chance you know the song of this album?
I've heard of Skid Row.
Okay.
But I've never listened to them. No, I got huge like blind spots in music.
Well, this is what we do for you.
Let the algorithm choose. The algorithm chooses for me, man.
Don't let the AI keep you from the good metal. Some of it, anyway. Some of it. So if you haven't plugged this one in a while, if you've never heard this one before, folks, from 1991, Slave to the Grind by the great Skid Row. Now, before we get to conversation further about the fantastic interview that we did with World of Warcraft game director Ian Hazzikostas, Jez, I have a legitimate beef, and that is pun intended. And this is the time, and this is the place where I got to talk about it. Let's go.
Let's rage.
Round here, I would say, generally, they like the Trading Post. Not every single thing that's on there. We rate them, and some of them are dog shit. But some of them are truly great. But we love to talk about it from time to time around here. And this month, November, the November Trading Post. It is a very Thanksgiving-themed a lot up for offering this month. The food and beverages and utensils and all kinds of stuff galore. It's all out there. Yeah, it's very thematically on brand, I would say, for the month. And I was scrolling through these, Jez, and I was looking through them on the list, figuring out how to spend my Trader Tender, and I came across perhaps the greatest abomination of all time. Because if you go and you look, there is a one-handed X up for offering for, I believe it's a low cost. It's only 95 Trader Tender. The smoked rib rack. It looks like an axe, and it has it's a 4-bone rib rack. And Jez, this is the saddest, most pathetic looking smoked rib rack of all time. I've never seen anything like this. The denizens of Azeroth deserve better than this, and let me tell you why. Now, you folks can't see this, but I'm gonna make sure that Jez sees this, and I'm gonna do my best to describe this. So we look at this thing here, and it has almost no color, no seasonings, no nothing. And Jez is gonna see what a real rib looks like, because I cooked this myself. And you can see the dark color of the smoke. You can see the delicious seasoning and spices on the top of it. If you compare these two side by side, it is like looking at a piece of raw, uncooked meat, or worse, beef jerky style ribs when you're expecting something luscious and smoky and delicious. And instead, you're trying to yank a strip of this off of here. It's terrible. I know California gets a bad rap for not knowing barbecue, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that we've got some kind of great beat on it, but we should know better than this in here. And look, I'm able to cook it. I'm no expert. I'm no Texan. I'm not from the South. But look, you can still make it happen. And so to offer this, Jez, they've clearly lost their way. We're going to talk about Hearthsteel later, and I know people think that Blizzard lost their way because of shit like that. No. It's this. You can't be offering tasteless, spiceless, smokeless, smoked rib racks to the people and expecting them to pay for it. Awful. Now you tell me, is this... Now, I want to be sensitive. We do rag on the Brits, or perhaps a lack of seasoning or cooking styles or boiling things or whatever it might be. But you tell me, side by side, which of these looks better? What Blizzard is offering us, or what I have cooked and given you a sample of here in our chat?
I mean, they look basically the same to me.
How dare you?
I mean, ribs is ribs, isn't it? I don't know.
Never.
Meat is meat. As long as it's, cooked a bit, I suppose.
Well,
put some baked beans on it. Job done.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? Baked beans would go good with these. It's true.
There you go.
Well, maybe this is the reject rack, and that's why it's being used as a weapon, because they overcooked it and it had no give. There was no lusciousness to it. Instead, it was just dry and horrible, and they figured, you know what? Let's just beat the fuck out of somebody with it instead of eating it. So maybe that's okay. But Blizzard, come on now. Hook a brother up with some better ribs. Think about it. All right. Now that I've got that off my chest. Let's jump into our news and chat a little bit more about what we did. So it finally happened. Finally came to pass that this little show, this little podcast, made, dare I say, international news. When we put out our 30-minute interview with World of Warcraft game director Ian Hazzikostas, where we talked on some personal stuff, we talked on some business stuff, and overall, I thought it went pretty well. We made our big splash. It took 10 years, but I think people finally got introduced to the show at a wider clip for the first time. But just, these are all of my sentiments. I think what we really need to do to kick off this conversation is we really should look at some of the comments that were left for us by the people. So if I may go through a few here. Quote, "This is the single best interview I've ever seen in the Warcraft space. Bravo, sir." That was from @Cartridge Bros, also known as Sean over there at For Azeroth. Next one, quote, "This might be one of my favorite WoW interviews in a long time. Definitely worth watching or listening to the full thing rather than just reading a recap. Lots of nuance, great conversation, and two really professional, respectful hosts." And that was by the one and only Mr. GM. No slash there. Maybe we should have him on sometime. Next one, quote, "A must listen," from, our buddy Jason Lucas over at the Starting Zone. Next up, Ian was interviewed by Unshackled Fury, and it was a bit of a strange one. It was by Bellular. What's this one? 10th anniversary with 115 subs? How? Why and how would any game director come to this no-name channel? Wait a minute. I think these comments are kind of getting out of hand here. Solid circle jerk. Zero information that is valuable to players. No future gameplay info. No interesting questions related to WoW. An absolute waste of time for the person who cares about World of Warcraft. I will be disliking and hiding this channel.
Internet's so lovely, isn't it?
I gotta tell you, it's really interesting to see how you can be both the best and the worst all at the same time. But ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, welcome to content creation at large, where you will definitely not please everyone. But them aside, Jez, what did you think about how it all went?
No, I thought it went really well. I mean, speaking completely honestly and frankly, World of Warcraft and Blizzard their executives are heavily media trained. And they also they do a lot of practice about what things they can and can't talk about. I mean, even in the interview, Ian was talking about the beta dates.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't tell us the beta date, even though it was literally being announced
hours
2 days later or something and it was I was just like, oh, come on, just give it to us, it's literally a few hours away, mate. So why not? But this is it's a hint at how regimented and controlled their sort of messaging is. So I thought it was really interesting to me how he opened up about in particular the way discourse has evolved in the YouTube age, where discourse has become homogenized, and people just sort of, they don't really do their own research, or increasingly so don't really do their own research or come up with their own opinions. They just sort of go along with what the prevailing opinion is. And this isn't just individuals, but also I find YouTubers as well. They're very sort of, a lot of the popular YouTubers and journalists and content creators, they'll wait to see what the prevailing opinion is before risking putting an opinion out there which will make them look bad.
No.
I notice that all the time. And then as soon as they know what the zeitgeist is, they sort of go along with it. so like everyone can call them based and stuff like that.
Mm.
They're like, and when you don't do that, you end up pissing off a lot of people. It's like, oh my god, how dare you step outside the zeitgeist, you know?
Yeah.
And as it extends to video game feedback, that can be very hard for developers because it's like, you know, if a disproportionately large YouTube channel pushes a narrative that is maybe relevant to them, but perhaps isn't the best for the game at large, and obviously Blizzard will have reams of data and telemetry about decisions they make and why they make them. And if like a very popular YouTuber who's got an axe to grind, or you know whatever reason they want to give that opinion, or it could be legitimate or it could be not legitimate. Either way, you're gonna end up in a situation where there's like potentially millions of people who just follow along with that, you know, for better or worse.
Yeah.
And I thought Ian was like, he's much kinder than I would have been, and he was like, that's not to say that feedback isn't valid, you know. It's true, you know, a lot of the feedback is valid, and of course Blizzard is definitely not perfect and has made plenty of mistakes, objectively speaking. But you know, it is interesting when you zoom out beyond WoW and look towards other games, even like how a zeitgeist can become this snowball, and just for a developer it becomes like impossible to sort of push back against that stuff. And also the worst thing is the snowball and zeitgeist on social media can be just completely against reality.
Oh yeah.
Like conventional wisdom holds that World of Warcraft is dead or Overwatch is dead.
Right.
And it's like, well, you actually look at the monthly active users and it's like they're obviously very far from dead. I think Sakana said that when the midnight pre-orders opened, World of Warcraft was like the 9th highest grossing in the game in the world that month, just when the pre-orders opened. So it's like there aren't many. Blizzard and Microsoft don't really share granular figures because you know they want to control the narrative for shareholders and stuff, which means they keep a lot of data close to the chest. But you know, yeah, I talk. Sometimes you'll speak to people in real life. Say, I play World of Warcraft. I'm like, oh, you play World of Warcraft? I thought that game was dead since Wrath of the Lich King. You know, it's like, nah, mate, no. So yeah, I thought it was cool that he opened up about some of that stuff. You know, potentially difficult topics. You know, and then obviously sharing some more the philosophy about the changes to the complexity of the game and where they're hoping to land with some of that stuff, and you know, pushing back on this popular rumor that they're doing all this to try and target consoles. That seems to have died down now. But yeah, I thought it was fun. I mean, the problem with these interviews as well is they're often very short because these are very busy people and have got a very tight schedule. So like we had exactly 30 minutes to get everything in we wanted to get in. Yeah. And it's hard to like do that in a way that still sounds like a natural conversation where you're not trying to hurry along the responses so you can get in loads of questions, as many questions as possible. You know, it's hard to do interviews, man. And I've been doing them for 10 years, and that was like, was that your first ever interview? You nailed it, man. So it's on you, really, for you're natural at that shit. I'm terrible at interviews, you know. And you absolutely nailed it. So that's to your credit, I think. But yeah, I thought it was good. We did what we could with the 30 minutes we had, and I thought we gained some good insight into the way the sausage is made, which you know people often don't like to hear. But yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was. Thank you, and honestly, you know, credit to you because you asked the questions, and you know, we had worked this out ahead of time. You know, we'd gone through the agenda that I'd written up, but you know, we knew that kind of the second half of that interview, you know, with you was going to be more about, you know, the console question and the difficulty questions, and you know, some of these I think more practical questions, if you will, where, and I got a certain ration of shit for it, and I knew that I would, because not just diving into stuff, it is different. You know, you watch a lot of the, you know, typically it's streamers that are getting these interviews, these little 30-minute shots with the developers, and yeah, they're just kind of going from one thing to the next, and as I told him, as I've said elsewhere, yeah, that wasn't my goal. That wasn't the interview that I wanted to do. And I thought that what we did was unique, which was kind of part of the point of why I wanted to structure it that way. So people did stand up and take notice. And, because I shared it with you, 2 days after we launched the thing, I sent Blizzard a follow-up email with all kinds of metrics and quotes and stuff that were coming out after we had launched that. And for the most part, we were getting pretty positive reviews overall. We had a lot of great comments. We had people talking, which I think is also part of the goal of these interviews, is to get people talking about whatever it is was discussed. But it was kind of funny. Somebody alerted me to a streamer that was watching it, doing a live stream and watching our interview, and looking at some of the comments from the people was like, look at this, just ass kissing, glazing. I knew glazing. Everybody loves that term now. I'm not even sure you kids even know what you're saying when you're saying that, but okay.
Positivity is uncool now. That's the truth of it. If you're a fan of something, you're glazing it, and glazing is bad.
Yes.
And this is one of the things like I really struggle with as a journalist and content creator or whatever. If you call me a journalist, I don't know. But
you are.
one of the things I've really tried to hold on to is being a fan.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the only positive things you can really have in life is to have a hobby and love the hobby.
Yeah.
And I've really clung on to that, across Xbox and across World of Warcraft and all that kind of stuff. And I think like you can criticize something, but still be a fan. Mm-hmm. And it's a shame that we live in a society now where being a fan is the bad position to be in. It's fucking weird, man. It's depressing, actually.
It is strange.
But that's the problem. Is a lot of these sort of streamers and these YouTubers and stuff, a lot of them don't even play the game anymore. They've just sort of moved on and they're bitter about it. They've just focused on negative stuff and riding the negative wave alongside other people who've moved on but still feel kind of bitter that the game evolved into something that is not for them. There's a lot of aspects about Modern WoW that I don't like. Like, I think the writing is genuinely awful these days, generally speaking. Aside for a few, like, bright spots here and there, but, like, even some of the stuff coming out of the Midnight Beta is just like, man, it just feels rushed, or people haven't really thought some of this stuff through. I don't know, like, one of the things I wanted to ask Eon in the interview that I didn't get a chance to was like, is the patch cadence negatively impacting the writing quality to some degree? Because I know this from blogging, right? If you look at a website like Bloomberg or something, the writers there, they'll spend literal weeks or even months researching a report, right?
Mm-hmm.
A blogger like myself, I can't do that. I've got like daily quotas that I've got to hit.
Yeah.
Or target. So like, and I sit there thinking like, man, I'd love to do like a really good report and interview like thousands of people or hundreds of people for, do like a human kind of story on layoffs or something like that. It's just like, just be impossible to do. So like when I look at the way Blizzard's writing is now, and Blizzard is hitting its content cadence really well. Like, I remember like back in the day, sometimes we'd go like half a year or even longer without any serious fresh content. But there's always something new to do in WoW these days. But I do feel like the writing's taking a battering on that. But point being is, despite the flaws, I'm still a fan. And I think you're still a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame that being a fan is like seen as a bad thing now. It really sucks, actually.
It's not unexpected in these days, I suppose, but it's interesting for really the first time to be the target of it, because this podcast has always kind of flown under the radar, and I knew once this went out, there was a really good chance, right? We're gonna have a Wowhead article. We're going to have Reddit comments or posts. We're going to have other content creators picking it up. And so to view it from that wider lens and to get that sort of inundation for the first time, really, it was interesting to see that there was more positivity than there was negativity. And I was a little, I was pleasantly surprised, I suppose. But I also thought what we did was good, you know, and part of it was, we talked about this a little bit before, was to your point, we had a 30 minutes. That's at 10, we had 9:30 to 10 a.m. and at 10 a.m. he had to jet. Like, you know, we edited the video on a podcast in such a way that you don't see it, but like when we're saying goodbye to him, he left. Like there was no like, hey guys, that was good, but no, that was it. He was gone. Yeah. So, you know, gracious enough to show up at least a couple minutes early, and you know, we'd set everything up so really all he had to do was jump in and we were good to go. And I think that sort of pre-planning helped us quite a bit. But yeah, you only get so much time, and you know, for me, I wanted to make that personal connection. I wanted to share things with him that there's no other opportunity really for me to do that other than BlizzCon. But at BlizzCon, he's hounded by 1,000 people at once. So this was our one private audience with him. And yes, I was going to say some things to him that, yeah, some people might not be interested in. I'll be honest with you, I don't care. That was my one shot that I know of and was guaranteed at that moment in time. So yeah, I'm going to share some things and say some things because that's important to me, recognizing that might not be important to everyone. But I knew you were coming in on the other side of that with stuff that was probably more appealing to the broader base. And that's where the balance of our interview, I think, really was pretty good. And I'm sure that he remembers it. I hope that Blizzard remember it. And, you know, when other opportunities come down the line, I was like, oh, you know what? They were good. They did something different. And there was more of a human connection that was made there. And if the situation is right, you know, we should tap them for something. But, you know, for one brief shining moment to be there and to be the object of discussion, it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Just to see it, and to see the wide range in some cases of other content creators' reactions. Some people were blasé, some people really liked it, like Mr. GM, and appreciate his comments. Maybe I found it the most interesting, either the people that said nothing or said very little, or the way that they worded things, and I'm like, ha, you're upset that we got this. And there is that small piece of me that's like, yeah, I'm a little show when we got this interview, and I don't know. That's the ego. I admit it. It was cool. So we'll see what happens in the future, but this was by far and away the most consumed episode we've ever done. I mean, we're basically nothing on YouTube, and that did, I don't know, we're closing in on like 6,000 views, which for this little thing is gargantuan. And we've never had an episode listened to nearly that close. So, you know, that was pretty cool on the other side of that. So, you know, Jez, thank you again for making the connections there and helping us get that ball rolling, because I'm pretty proud of what we did. It's obvious, and I hope we'll have something further down the line. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that they? What do you think they think? You know these people better than I do.
I have no idea.
Oh,
right.
Well,
I hope they liked it. You know, I've interviewed Ian a few times now.
Yeah.
And he's always been a class act. So, you know, and they're very, very, very busy. But Blizzard's also like, they're honestly a company that likes to talk to people of, you know, content creators of all sizes. Whereas like getting interviews with, I don't know, you know, Call of Duty or a Battlefield dev or anything like that, is incredibly difficult, you know. Blizzard talks to all, like, talk to fans. They talk, you know, I saw Ian walking around at Gamescom, just talking to random fans, stuff like that, where a lot of other companies are like really inaccessible. So I think it's also to Blizzard's credit that they even bothered to do it with us.
Yeah.
And also, you know, everyone who listened to the show, all you guys and everyone else, you know, the support is what keeps me going, and I'm sure, you know, helps you as well.
Yeah, the outpouring of support from everyone listening to this has been incredible and very much appreciated. You know, I've had more interactions with listeners in the last 2 weeks than probably at any point in time that I've been doing this podcast all these years, and it's really been great. And even just the other night, me and the homie Rommel were gonna do some remix stuff, and one of our listeners just jumped into, because you may notice sometimes I'm in the Discord's audio channel, and that's where we hook up and play. And a listener jumped in, and we chatted for a few minutes, and that was pretty cool. So, you know, that does make a difference. And I know some people try to play it off and be cool about it, but if everybody came in and was like, you suck, fuck you, I don't know a lot of creators that would keep going. So to get some of that validation, you know, it's a child of divorce. I'm always looking for more validation. Let's be real. So to get that and to hear that and to connect in that way, it was really special. And even if this is the only shot, I'm so grateful for this opportunity and this experience. And now I can watch all of our metrics plummet back to earth as we put out this fine episode today, and it goes back to normal. But that was pretty cool. And yeah, thanks again to Blizzard. Thanks to Ian. Thanks to everybody else for the support and the connection there. That was great. And who knows, if we get another shot, you know, we'll take it and try to make it something fun. So on the heels of this, by the way, Ian, I guess he wanted some more community time, so he put out this gigantic blog, Combat Philosophy and Add-on Disarmament in Midnight, where he goes in even further about the, you know, add-on apocalypse that's going on, and more about their philosophy of why this is changing and what their goals are, because it's clear that this is something that is continuing to evolve and be worked on. There's no like, you know, hitting a switch, this is in, this is out. It's a continual evolution, and it sounds like there's more conversations going on with other add-on developers and, you know, folks that are primarily focused on non-combat specific, I guess, add-ons. Because what really came through to me even further in this blog that he posted was that, you know, as time went on and as the years have gone by, there was a whole additional challenge of designing around the add-ons and knowing that they were going to figure out ways to provide certain players with competitive advantages based on how they interacted with the game. And so it's really trying to strip that advantage away, which I am so curious to see how Race for World First and the MDI stuff and all of these things, how all of that is going to play out as this add-on change evolves. But that's what they were trying to focus on, apparently, is weeding some of that out, and that evolution continues, that this isn't one and done. It's not something that for me that affects me all that much. I don't know that I've ever installed weak auras ever. I rated with other stuff, but I know how important it is to other people. Jez, for you, as this conversation continues, do you share this concern that the game is heading in the wrong direction in this way? I know we talked to Ian a little bit about challenge and difficulty and stuff like that, but do you feel like they still need to swing that pendulum back or put some of the toothpaste back in the tube on this add-on deal?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? Because one of the things that I don't like doing is screwing around in the beta. I kind of want to see it when it's finished and get the full force of that, like, oh wow, this is all new and shiny, rather than like play it when it's like half finished and just sort of, I don't know, experience it when it's in its rough state, and then have it detract from when it's in its finished state. That's a me problem, right? So I haven't tried out the changes in huge amount of depth in the beta, but I have loaded up my Warlock and then hit up a target dummy and all that kind of stuff. And I also played Unholy Death Knight a bit because me and my minion classes, it's kind of what I like. And the way they've changed the damage rotations on those characters in particular, because especially Demonology Warlocks, you can't really play it optimally without weak auras, because the United interface, the user interface, doesn't let you track demons very well. And one of the core components of doing damage properly as Demonology is making sure that you feed your demonic tyrant as many demons as possible, or at least it was, and also things like making sure that your different demon durations, they line up to maximize their uptime and all that kind of stuff. You can't really do that without a UI custom UI that tracks some of that stuff, because the default UI doesn't track it. So what Blizzard did what Blizzard's done for Midnight is they've removed a lot of the, I suppose, the pitfalls that could happen for people who didn't have an add-on that tracked some of those demon windows. Because if you didn't have weak auras playing Demonology, you're at a significant disadvantage to someone who was using it right. But at the same time, Ian said that they wanted some classes to be more complicated than others in our interview.
That's what he said.
And he specifically called out, Beast Mastery Hunter as an example of a class that has been traditionally a little bit more accessible. And then, stuff like Demonology, where you're tracking demon durations and stuff like that, could be considered maybe like intermediate or a little bit more difficult, And but it's like, should the difficulty also include having to download an add-on? Should I be able to play the game without an add-on? That's kind of what the damage rotation is like now. Like you summon, they've merged Vile Fiend summoning with one of the other abilities, so I don't have to track the duration of 2 sets of dogs anymore. I've just got like 1 set of dogs to track. I am a little concerned that it could start to feel a little bit repetitive. Like sometimes, like one of the annoying things about Demonology is like, game mechanics in a boss fight will mean that you lose a demonic tyrant window or something, and you lose a ton of DPS as a result. But if you're sort of like, you learn the boss mechanics really well, and it's kind of like, oh, I know this boss mechanic's coming up, so I probably need to hold off a bit or on using my tyrant now, or use it a little bit earlier, And you start doing those calculations in your head, like, should I use the tyrant now, or should I wait a bit? While also looking at the Deadly Boss Mod's boss timer as well. So you're looking at like all these different timers and trying to make all these calculations on the fly, while there's all sorts of other stuff popping off. That is fun for me. And if they scale it back down to the point where, everything starts feeling a little bit just, I'm going through the motions, I think that could harm the game for a lot of people who do prefer to play it in a more intense way, right?
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I get what they're going for, and I think like some of the complexity they could easily inject back into the game, rather than just having me watch bars and weak auras. Because like, I noticed that like when all you're doing is watching weak auras, you're not actually seeing the boss fight. Yeah. Wouldn't it be better game design if the thing I had to watch out for was a boss attack or something like that, rather than a timer ticking down? Yeah. Like Elden Ring doesn't have timers and UI flying over the screen. It's kind of become World of UI craft, as a result of weak auras. So like, I think like some of the contention is like, we think we want this. Maybe we do want this, but I think there's a good reason to think that maybe Blizzard's right, and that it's actually not healthy for the game that all we're doing is looking at user interface. You know, I'm either looking at weak auras or deadly boss mods or my damage meter, and I'm not actually looking at the fight they've designed at all. WoW never used to be like that, you know.
Yeah.
I remember slaying Nefarim back in the day, and it was not like you had like grid and decursive did the dispelling automatically. That was great, man. but the you know the and back then like the add-ons were pretty powerful as well, like decursive, for example. They nerfed that into the ground very quickly. But you were looking at the boss fight. You were looking at the awesome boss fight, you know. Instead of looking at the weak auras. I think what Demonology Warlock is a very extreme case of how weak auras, I think, can make the game a bit weird, because like I say, Demonology is something you have to track a lot of stuff for. So that's like an extreme example, but I think like just that it's a good way to illustrate the philosophy they're going for here. I would say wait and see how it feels before passing judgment, because you might surprise yourself and be like, oh, actually this is actually better. And maybe like if they take some of the complexity out of the UI, maybe they can design more interesting boss fights, more interesting boss mechanics, rather than this constant fear of like, oh, okay, well, we know the Demonology Warlocks are going to be looking at their weak auras instead of the fight, so we can't make this as overly complicated. Like the arms race, the complexity arms race between designing the game around the knowledge that add-ons sort of can create a sort of cognitive overload if they put too many boss mechanics in the game. So I'm very much in a wait and see kind of mood about all of this stuff. But obviously if it is definitely worse, then I'm sure everyone's going to make their voices heard about it, right? And I think that they'll change it. If it sucks, I'm sure they'll change it back, or they'll put more complexity back in the game, and you know. But he said, like he said in the interview, this is as simple as it's going to get.
Right.
And they'll tune it back up from here. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think your perspective is a great one. In let's see how it feels hands-on as it continues to develop, because even on the heels of our interview, it was reported out that Ian had met with some add-on developers, and they're continuing to have conversations with folks, and it looks like they're either reaching out to people or they're responding to inquiries to continue to get that feedback. And it does sound like, you know, they chopped a bunch of stuff down, and now piece by piece they can kind of build up on it if it's needed or wanted or makes sense or what have you. So tying into that, you already mentioned it, the midnight beta has begun. So November 11th, phase 1 just opened up, and you got a couple different ways that you can get into this. If you have already purchased, I think it's the Epic edition of Midnight, you're granted access to the beta. Otherwise, there was a sign up and they're sending out email invites, and you know, they tend to do that, I think, every expansion for as long as I can remember. And you know, they'll bring in a wave of people and try things out. So right now we've got phase 1, Dungeons, Delves, UI updates, and more. You can play through the first 4 zones. You can play through as a Void Elf Demon Hunter, make your Heronir. Start taking a look at the housing. We'll get to that more in just a second. So in the beta, yeah, we've got leveling all the way up to 90, the zones, we've got some dungeons, delves, the Eretor's journey that they've talked about, the prey system, the Argentina, where you can go and meet up with a bunch of folks there. Other activities, talent updates, looking at the UI stuff. And then beyond this is just sounds like just week 1, and then there's weeks 2 through 3. There'll be some raid testing, so you raid folks can get your I don't know, your first fix on what that looks like. The updated transmog system will be in place, Mythic Plus dungeons, season 1 dungeons, upper tier delves, and they're adding some more housing exteriors. So that's going on right now, and will be going on at least for the next few weeks. And you mentioned, Jez, that you've already jumped in on that. Do you typically have a goal when you're in the beta? Because for me, there might be a couple of things I want to touch on and see fairly quickly, but I tend not to spend a whole lot of time in the beta anymore because I don't want to burn myself out. But do you have any goals when you jump into the betas, or do you have goals that you recommend people should keep in mind when they are?
No, I do the bare minimum when I do betas, because I don't want to spoil the impact of the polished result, and that kind of goes back to what I was said earlier about like wanting to cling on to being a fan and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like if I kind of feel like I ruined Elden Ring for myself, because when Elden Ring came out, we had review codes and the whole team, like we were just blitzing guides. Like this is before AI stole all the guide traffic, and half of our business was writing guides, and helping people with boss mechanics or just general game mechanics, all that kind of stuff. We went so hardcore on guides. So I was grinding all these guides like non-stop, and I had 2 characters running concurrently. I had like a melee character and a mage, and basically like doing an error on that character and an error on another character, like researching everything I could, writing every boss guide as I played.
Oh man.
And it kind of ruined the game for me, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was playing it very analytically instead of just enjoying the immersion and stuff. So I ended up putting Elden Ring down and not coming back to it for like a year. And then I played it through like as a gamer rather than a journalist, and enjoyed it way more. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty awesome. So yeah, when I play betas, I generally do very light touch. Things I'm like curious about is like, oh, does this spell have a new animation? Because there's so many animations in the game that I'm just like, they haven't updated this since vanilla, man. Like, please, can we have a new Bone Shield? Please. That Bone Shield animation's been there since vanilla.
I love that Bone Shield animation. How dare you?
I hate that shit, man. It's terrible. And also Rune of the Fallen Crusader, that's been there since beta, since vanilla as well. Please update that shit, man. It looks so trash. So every expansion, I'm like, have they updated any of these animations that annoy me? That's the thing that I check first. But then also like new damage rotation and stuff like that. Like I said,
yeah,
legit. Went and tested that straight away. But no, I'll generally just not use it until goes live fully. Oh, sorry. Later. Forgive me.
Well, if you get into the beta and you have similar complaints to Jez here, make sure you go out on the forums, like the add-on stuff, like everything else. The beta is where they're testing all of these things. Beta test. And it's not meant to be finalized. It's not meant to be all completely working. So take it for what it is. And if you've got feedback, give it to them. They may not take your feedback, but that does not mean that they aren't listening. So something to keep in mind there. So if you look at week 1, it's been out. Then week 2, week 3, what are we leading up to? Well, Jez, we will have moved on in retail, because December 2nd, patch 11.2.7, the Midnight Prologue, The Warning, will finally be going live. And there's a bunch of stuff in this. There's the prologue campaign. There's the revamped new player experience. There's some more lore walking. There's Pandaren heritage armor. Turbulent Timeways returns. The Brawlers Guild comes back a week later on December 9th, which is super badass. But Jez, is there really anything that anybody cares about other than the housing early access that's going live in just a few short weeks.
Oh man, well, I suppose it remains to be seen how much furniture is actually available in early access. It could be that like early access is there, but you don't actually get access to any furniture. So it's just like, oh, I picked my plot, and now I've just got to wait for midnight to actually find the furniture to build the actual house with. But there's quite a lot of stuff there, you know, like new story quests. The Brawlers Guild, I'm excited to check out. Like,
yeah.
Have they revamped it? Are they adding new bosses, or is it just the old bosses but like with new rewards, or a mixture of the two? I don't know, because some of the old bosses were awesome. Like, I'd like to see them come back, but I wouldn't mind some of the bosses.
They said that they are changing the rotation of the bosses. They are adding some new bosses, and that there will be some other achievements and different things that will reward, among other things, housing decor. So
I suppose that's the other thing, like how many housing decor items we'll be able to get, because I think they said like you'll be able to get housing decor from like old expansions as well, like going to Outland and shit. I don't know.
So here's what they put in the official early access post is: put your collection to work designing your new space in either basic or advanced mode. Collect over 600 plus housing items from various activities, including quests from NPCs located in Orgrimmar, Stormwind, and Dornogal. You can view the available items within the new housing dashboard, their sources, cost, and requirements, all that kind of stuff. So it sounds like there'll be quite a bit right out of the gate. You know, there's a ton that are actually from Midnight itself. So it's going to be several months until we have access to that. But you'll be able to level up your house. I think professions are going to have a ton of stuff. It sounds like there's going to be quite a bit to collect right away. So yeah, when I'm wasting time down in the Brawlers Guild trying to get I don't even know what the reward is or rewards are yet, because I'm kind of saving that. But man, that might be the only other thing. Brawlers Guild and early access to the housing. If you bought Midnight, do you think that'll be a problem? That you have to have purchased the next expansion in order to get it, and people are going to be like, everybody should get it? Or is this kind of where we are now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, money, isn't it? Money's gonna money, and it's a way to make money. And I don't know. To be expected, I suppose.
Have you picked your plot?
So the way my guild's doing it is, my guild's run by a very organized fellow, and he wants people to like decide, their first preferred plot, and then their second preferred plot, and then their third preferred plot.
Oh.
And then like if there's conflicts, people will roll on it. I think the guild leader's like assigning the plot. So I've put what plot I want. Just remains to be seen if I actually get it. But I'll work around it. You know, it's like in real life. You maybe you don't always get your dream house, but just like in a video game, you know, if we're being realistic about it. But there's a website you can use. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
Yes,
it's called WoW.
Let me pull it up here. I've got it. Oh shoot! I was just looking at this. Where did I put it? It is housing.wowdb.com.
Now you say it. I didn't know that one, but there's another one which lets you. I can't. It's called WoW Real Estate or something like that.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
I can't remember what it's called, but it lets you hang on, I can find it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you about this other one. It's owned and run by the folks that do MMO Champion, which has been one of my favorite websites basically as long as I've been playing the game outside of Thoughtbot. I think that was the second one that I discovered, and they have quite a bit here, and it also can link up to your Battle.net account, so it'll keep track of your achievements, what you've earned, what you haven't earned, all that kind of jazz. So if you're looking to put stuff together, this looks like a great resource for that.
Well, the website that I was I was doing is it's called WoW Audit.
Oh.
And what it does, it lets your guild organize where you're going to put the plots. So if you've got a guild or a community that you want to sort out housing for, it's WoWaudit.com. I think a bunch of people are using that right now. And it just lets you, assign plots to your guild so there's no confusion on launch day, I guess. But that's how we're doing it.
It's gonna be necessary. It's gonna be messy. Even virtual real estate, Jez, it's just bound to get ugly. I just know it. I just know it. And Jez, I have a confession that I need to make to you.
Yes.
The years that we've been doing this, I'm Alliance through and through. You are a proud representative of the Horde now into eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, my house, my chosen home, will be hopefully in the plot that I want, in the Alliance Neighborhood Founders Point, I think it's called. But I have to admit, I think Razorwind Shores has more prime plots in it than Founders Point does. And the reason why is because, as somebody who's a little bit of a hermit, I wanted a space that's kind of away from people, and there's only so many on the Alliance neighborhood that does that. But there are a bunch of choice hermit plots in Razorwind Shores, and I am admittedly jealous. So, good for you all.
I feel the opposite. I don't really like Razorwind very much.
Oh.
I think there's nowhere that's sort of Forsaken themed or Goblin themed there. It's all Tauren, Orc, and Troll. Whereas like Stormwind, at least, like there's like the Darkshire kind of area.
We do have that section that is very spooky, and it has maybe the best plot in the whole place, which is the one that's kind of away from everybody.
Yeah, and there's no such plot for Horde, which is kind of annoying. But oh well, kind of everything you want, right? I'm sure they're going to expand these areas over time to add like themes for different races and stuff.
Those maps do look expandable, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. And also, like, over time, they'll add, like, because at the moment, there's, like, a Blood Elf, Night Elf, Orc, and Human themed buildings. They'll add the other races over time, I suppose.
Probably.
It's kind of weird, like, given how good Forsaken architecture is, for example, there's no Forsaken architecture. And also, they literally just had a whole patch dedicated to goblins, and none of that architecture they put in Undermine is available for player housing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't have a goblin house.
That's gotta be common.
Yeah, but they've clearly got the assets for it. It's just like it's just going to be a matter of time, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, December 2nd. I know I've got my. Have you already purchased, or have you already obtained your copy of Midnight? Are you ready to go?
Oh, I purchased that one. Yeah.
All right, so we'll both be on the ground, and we should have another episode between here and there to kind of finalize. But December 2nd, we're all gonna be jumping in and making houses, and I stepped away from the alpha after a certain point because I was like, I gotta save a lot of this because I'm gonna end up having analysis paralysis, and I'm not gonna be sure what I want to do. So it's gonna be a paced adventure, I think, because it's too much to consume all at once. But we can start collecting our shit, and that'll be awesome. So the Midnight Prologue quest, it's going to start with Visions of a Shadowed Sun, which will be in your adventure guide, so you'll be able to just jump right into that. And we'll see what the returning player experience is like, the Elves of Quel'Thalas lore walking, Pandaren heritage armor, which I know a lot of people are excited about, and more. But one other thing that I want to make sure people are aware of is that this week, so in Tuesday, I think the day 2 days, the pre-expansion novel by Christy Golden is coming out. Blood Ties, World of Warcraft Midnight. And the official prequel novel to World of Warcraft Midnight says here on the overview, Eretor the Redeemer was born to heroism, the son of High Exarch Turalyon and the legendary Hilaria Windrunner. Eretor has long borne the weight and expectations of their legacy, the legacy he inherited as a babe, the day his parents disappeared through the Dark Portal. And on they go. All right, this is too long. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but you get the gist. Those are your primary protagonists, I think, in this adventure, is the three of them, Hilaria, Turalyon, and Eretor. So we'll see what comes out of that. I know there's a bunch of lorehounds eagerly awaiting this. I believe some may already have advanced copies and have opinions that we will be seeing very soon. So that will be coming out just this coming week, so people will get a jump on this before 11/7 goes live with all the housing stuff, which, Jez, we got to talk about it because everybody else is. The big news that came out about not just the housing, but now we are going to have another virtual currency, Hearthsteel. And this is going to be specific to housing. They put out, after, this was data mined and people were going crazy and we're like, well, what the fuck is this? And how bad is this situation? It is another microtransaction deal that we have all come to know and hate across the gaming universe. They put out a blog trying to, I think, calm the waters to some degree, and I think to some degree they were successful, but not entirely. It's clear that they want to have most, like, the vast, and they even capitalize the whole thing, vast majority of housing items will be earnable in-game with just like current transmog and mounts and pets and stuff that are on the store. Just a very small fraction of these items are going to be available from the shop. And the way that they outlined this, honestly, I was kind of neutral to a lot of it because, it's real money. We already sort of have these in place. So yeah, they've inured me to it to a certain extent. But the one aspect of this that is not clear, that's been pointed out by others, and I agree, that makes me a little more nervous than most, is the way that the items work in game is that every single thing that you want to place, you have to buy. So the examples they give are like, if you want a table with 10 chairs, you have to individually purchase each one of the 10 chairs for that set. It's not like you buy one and you've got an infinite amount. With the Hearthsteel, it does kind of seem like if you wanted to buy the 10 chairs, you have to individually from the store buy the 10 chairs. And that just feels really shitty if that's the way that works, as opposed to you buy it the one time and then it's on like a vendor in game and then you can purchase it for real gold or whatever you're going to do. Do we have cause, in your opinion, as somebody who's seen this kind of thing, not just in Warcraft, but across the gaming landscape, should we be concerned? Is this just another slimy fucking corporate decision, or are people overreacting about all this?
No, I don't think they're overreacting. I think it's a slippery slope, isn't it? It's like it's it's the sparkly horse 1 minute and then it's $100 Brutosaurus with a auction house attached to it the next minute. Like eventually that could sell $100 auction house module for your house, for example. And stuff like that. So I personally don't think they're overreacting. I think it's also kind of like it's par for the course, isn't it? It's just like this is just the way all gaming is now.
Yeah.
I was talking about this on Colin Moriarty's Sacred Symbols podcast the other day about how because Xbox Game, over the summer, big drama in Xbox community was Xbox Game Pass got a 50% price hike on the highest tier. Huge price hike, and of course, everything's been going up, whether it's Netflix, Disney Plus, whatever, prices just keep perpetually going up.
Yep.
And it's you lock in your audience and then you bleed them dry, and World of Warcraft has always opted away from increasing the subscription fee because I think it's probably like in their analysis, the subscription free is probably the biggest barrier to entry for the game and its growth. But at the same time, they don't want to make it free to play because that leads to pay to win, and then another load of, and also like another problem that's hitting free to play games recently. A lot of free to play players don't actually pay a dime, which is why like now that like inflation and the demand for growth has hit a new wall with those free to play games. It's like, how do we monetize the people who refuse to pay any money? So like a lot of these free to play games like Fortnite and Genshin Impact, over the next year or two, maybe in the next few months, you're going to start seeing like video ads appear in some of these games.
Oh,
because this is the one thing that, is concerning these free to play games. So if you're a World of Warcraft, which isn't free to play and philosophically doesn't want to be free to play, because like whether A, you don't want to destroy the game by going pay to win, or B, you don't want to create a scenario where you've got dedicated servers full of people who aren't monetizing at all, which, are hurting your margins. You've got to figure out another way to make line goes up, because line goes up. That's how our entire economic system works.
Yeah.
So Heartsteel is like the mount shop. It's another knob they can turn when they need to deliver growth in a quarter. And it's like, Microsoft has given Blizzard more independence than Activision had. Blizzard has independence to do its own budgets now, hire its own executives. Blizzard just got a new CMO, who's apparently very good. They're not sharing the Activision executive layer. They're building up their own executive layer now. So Blizzard's become independent again within Microsoft, which is a good thing creatively. But they still have, Microsoft will give them targets and be like, you have to hit these targets. How you hit them is up to you. And like, one of the things they're doing next year is BlizzCon, which is very, very expensive. And the tickets for BlizzCon are also very expensive. But putting on an event like that in California is also incredibly expensive.
Oh, I can't imagine.
And Mike Ibarra, the previous Blizzard president, and other Blizzard alumni have always said BlizzCon's never made a dime. So I think the fact that we're getting a BlizzCon at all under Microsoft is a revelation, because I didn't think that would happen. I thought the logical thing to do if Microsoft's giving you a target to hit with regards to margins would be to like, well, how can we improve our margins? Is basically we skip BlizzCon, we skip this expenditure. But the downside is that this is what they've decided to do instead, which is monetize cosmetics. Now, it's kind of like, on the one hand, it's like, it sucks because it really did feel like housing was this sort of magical feature that some of us have literally waited decades to experience. Like, I remember that portal in Stormwind, which was all like, oh my god, that's for a housing district, and it just never materialized. Yeah, and so like for months and months and months, we thought like, this is like a really pro customer thing that they're doing here. It's not like they're not just going through the motions with WoW anymore. They're really trying to explore ways to make it grow and be cool again. And then it's like, oh, here comes the catch, But so I do think like it could end up being a slippery slope if they get greedy with it, like the mount shop has to some degree. And there's still like, even though like, yeah, Brutosaurus with an auction house is fine, but how many people actually like using that mount? Like the most of the mounts you see people actually using in game are ones you actually have to acquire. The prestigious kind of mounts that you get from doing achievements or, doing hard content or, grinding Mythic Plus and all that kind of stuff. So I think as long as the prestigious stuff remains free and obtainable through play, that's the good thing. The bad thing would be if they go down the Diablo route, because one of the things I hate about Diablo 4 is that all the best stuff is from purchasing it, which to me takes the joy out of actually playing the game. If like the best looking stuff and the best armor and all, the transmog, if all of that comes from spending real life money,
yep,
it takes a huge amount of reward out of the game. You know, if I'm like killing a boss, you know, if I'm grinding, I don't know, what's his name now? Duriel. As the boss, like everyone grinds in Diablo to get the, you know, the most efficient way of getting like some of the best gear.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is you get the gear, and basically what you're handed is a spreadsheet of stats, and then your transmog is something you paid real life money for. It just makes it all feel so soulless.
Yeah.
In Diablo 4, they went way because it was like that out of the gate with Diablo 4. Whereas like Blizzard, with WoW, we've got a subscription fee. There's an expectation that the subscription fee pays for some of this stuff. Diablo 4 doesn't have any subscription fee. Diablo 4 should probably never have been an always online game, because it functions like an MMO without a subscription. And without a subscription, they have to do this aggressive monetization, which I think harms the game.
Yeah.
Overall. But anyways, I digress. It's to be expected in our economic system that Blizzard has to grow. Their costs go up because, you know, their suppliers put their costs up as well, which means Blizzard has to figure out ways of maintaining the growth as demanded by corporate overlords. And I think like this is it's unpopular, but this is like probably one of the least invasive ways they can increase that line without doing something more egregious like free to play, pay to win, or ads in the game, shit like that.
Yeah.
So I think like you can choose to look at it like glass is half full or glass is half empty. You know, it could. My point is, it could be worse.
Yeah. And I think maybe part of what offsets this a little bit is because of the way that they're tying this in with the existing token system and all that stuff. Is theoretically you could, in a you know, convoluted sort of manner, you could earn all of this stuff with in-game gold by, you know, purchasing stuff and turning gold into money. You know, people have paid their subscriptions for years based on this system. So
people pay their mortgage doing it.
There you go.
No, maybe no.
So people can do it. I don't know how many people actually do. I don't know how. I have no idea what the metrics on something like that looks like. But yeah, it did feel inescapable. I hadn't really thought about it, but once they announced this, I was like, yeah, that makes sense that they'll do a holiday-based set or some kind of, you know, I'm thinking Stormwind throne room set, right? And I get a giant throne and I get all the banners and all the stuff, and then yeah, my dumb ass will plunk down $20 or whatever it is. Like, yep, I gotta have that in my house, god damn it. Or, you know, here comes the Lich King's throne and a copy of Frostmourne. Well, there's another $20. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna fucking do that shit. I can see where, depending on the pressure point, just like Diablo 4, if it's cool enough, even people like me that I don't make it a regular habit. I rarely buy anything like this. That would be something I would plunk my paycheck down for. So hopefully it's not super scummy, like kind of mentioned earlier, having to individually purchase each item. Hopefully it just unlocks it. But yeah, we'll have to see how this works out in practice. So a lot of conversation happening around this. How it gets implemented, we're going to find out very soon, and then, you know, let the backlash continue. But you mentioned BlizzCon, and BlizzCon tickets are wonderful, semi-regular thing now that, yeah, you and I know, because you and I had talked about this in the past, it seemed like BlizzCon was dead, and here we are. Tickets have been purchased because we had our first round of what they call early bird tickets. That was back on November the 7th for $250. That's your 2-day admission. You get some commemorative items, which apparently are some kind of old school type lunchbox and thermos and some other stuff. I don't know how Wowhead found that. I don't see that in any official posting, but I don't know. They always get shit like this. So those all sold out. The next round goes on sale this week, the 18th, and those will now be $290. So you got a $40 increase for waiting a little bit longer. They had a couple of add-ons, the Charity Night for $500 and the Dark Moon Fair After Hours add-on for another $90. Those all sold out already. The Dark Moon Fair one, I totally get, because for those of us that were there, the Dark Moon Fair thing was out of hand. And not because of anybody, it's not like it was some big brawl or something. It's just where they had them in the convention center. The line to get into the thing and to get access to the little trinkets and bullshit, it was almost going out the door. And if you know how big the Anaheim Convention Center is, that is a big ass line. And they had the fire marshal called because they had too many people there, and they had to like bounce folks out, and it was taking so long. So this seems like it was purely out of necessity because it is wildly popular. Like I was stunned to see how many people wanted to be involved in this and go, just get little trinkets and shit. Like I still don't really understand what was happening over there. We could barely even walk around or get in, so we bailed on a lot of it. But that's all done now. And in their announcement, they did talk a little bit about, they'll be doing developer panels. The Hearthstone Tavern will be back. They'll be reviewing portfolios and resumes, presumably from people that they've already laid off, and I guess they'll see some familiar faces. Arena World Championships. I know an item that you are excited about. I believe Heroes of the Storm has a championship that will be coming back for this, and so
good.
So all of the that kind of stuff will be happening. The video announcing this very heavily implies that there's going to be some kind of StarCraft thing, and just everybody know that when that moment arrives, whatever it is, that I'm going to have a very hard time not peeing my pants at least 2 drops, because I'm just so excited to just see and hear anything StarCraft. It's going to be magical. We know it. BlizzCon store will be there if you've ever seen that, and they got all their stuff, and they've done it a million different ways every time they do it. It was actually pretty good last time. So I'm going to be there. Tickets already purchased. Listen, I'm going to try to get media access, but it's a coin flip, I think, for me. But I will be there. I've made my hotel reservation, although the Hilton that's right there has not opened up rooms for that date. So if you check it and you see that it's sold out, it's not really sold out. It's just that they have not opened those rooms yet, and I don't know how far in advance they do it. It could be 6 months. It could be 9 months. It could be what. I'm checking it fairly regularly to see, and I'm sure as soon as it is, someone's going to put a post about it somewhere, probably Reddit, like, hey, get your rooms now. But Mr. Corden, you and I have had some conversations about this already, and it sounds like this might be a bit of a coin flip for your attendance, if I understand the moment.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously I really want to go. It's bucket list for me, but
yeah,
it's just so expensive for one thing.
It is.
And I'm poor, man. So honestly, I got a ton of debts at the moment. So I'm trying to get those paid off.
Yeah.
And then I think about being financially responsible, and it's like I should pay those off before I commit to something like this. But I might be selling myself short. Maybe I'll get it all paid off and it'll be fine. We'll see what happens.
This seems to me like the perfect kind of work expense that Windows Central needs to just hook a brother up. And whatever letter
Future PLC won't even let me invoice a. Yeah, these guys won't even let me invoice a pencil, man. There's no way this is happening. I paid for Blizz games come out of pocket. I was paying that off for 2 months.
Jesus.
So that's in Europe.
We'll see. We'll see if we can, convince the powers that be to hook you up and get you on a plane and get you out of here. I can drive there, so I at least on the travel side, it costs me a couple tanks of gas. That's it. And the homie Rommel and I can get down there, and it'll be a quick one in Friday. There Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and home Monday. So it's gonna be a quick trip for us, as much as I would like, but to be there longer. But I don't know, Jez. I think we got to keep lobbying Blizzard to get that fireside chat going that I requested with Ian. So, like he suggested, we could talk for hours about all things Warcraft and otherwise. So we'll see. we'll see what's going on. But good luck to everybody on your ticket purchases. If you can go, or if you're deciding whether to go, I know that some people have a hesitation about, 1, coming to the United States, 2, potentially coming to California. I try to be pretty eyes wide open about these things. Understand the hesitation 100%, and I don't blame anybody for not wanting to cross our borders. That being said, California, we're I think doing okay. So if you're having safety concerns, not entirely invalid, but I would say is that California, we're kind of our own little beast out here on the West Coast, and especially in that area, Anaheim, it's Disneyland. It's kind of like a little island unto its own, even further than that. So I would encourage people to still come here. It's a lot of fun to be had, a lot of good times to be had, some great places to eat, and BlizzCon is really an experience unlike any other that I can compare to. Just the vibe and the fun, and you're walking around in the halls and the music's playing, and it's just such a cool time. So don't let fear get the best of you if you think you can manage it. But all right, one more thing before we get out the door. It is Warcraft's 21st anniversary, just kicked off, I believe, today as we record, the 16th. And this will be going on until December 7th. So if you got the time, head down to the Caverns of Time, go down to Teneris. I know they revamped it last year. There's some changes. I don't think there's as much stuff this year, so it seems a little more low-key. But if you're working on stuff for, let's say, housing achievements and you need some rep and whatnot, they do have that 10% experience and reputation buff. So that might help you in your quest to get some more housing items as we gear up for that. All right, I think we've done enough damage for one episode. For those who don't already know, where can the good people find you out on the internet, Jez?
You can find me on Blue Sky and Twitter, Jez Corden, JZCORDEN, and also Expert 2 podcast on YouTube.
There it is. My thanks to all of you for listening. And remember, you can always follow me and the show on Twitter at Berserker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berserker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berserker. You can also join our Discord, which I highly recommend that you do. Links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our website, unshackledfury.com. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources, or email us at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.